Do you like Joe Biden as your president? Would you rather have Donald Trump in office? Were you a Hillary Clinton gal? Or did you like Barack Obama? Maybe you were liking Bill Clinton. Then there was that guy, George Bush. Or B, do you say, hey, I don't give a shit, I'm going to go grab a beer and let somebody smarter than me choose who our next president is because, I don't get the whole thing and I'm not going to pretend I do. And, some of us get a little political with our opinion. Like, yeah, I think that guy sucks. Now I'm going to go grab a beer. That's about as political as some of us get. So how political of a person are you? Let's find out. This is Funny Like Clown Podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Wirth. Episode 111, June 6, 2021. And knock on wood, we're slowly getting past the pandemic here and things getting back to normal. Let's hope things stay that way because, we don't want to go back to those days. As always, today's episode is brought to you by G Vegas Buffalo Sauce. For the spicy, sweet, savory taste at game time, there's only one. G Vegas. Available at www.gvegas.webs.com. And hey, the pandemic's over, summer's here, and let's get back to doing some barbecue. We'll get back to our sporting events, and what's better, good sporting events than good buffalo sauce, man. Jack you right up, get you ready for the game. All right, we're doing political stuff, and who better to pave the way? We'll be discussing Bill Maher today, known best for HBO's political talk show Real Time with Bill Maher from 2003 to present, and before that, Politically Incorrect, which ran 1993 to 2002 on both Comedy Central and ABC. And here's a guy who's knowledgeable, very knowledgeable about the political arena. And, he was known for doing risky things like targeting religion, political correctness, mass media. He'd hit the hot topics and he'd kind of like rub the salt in the wound a little bit and try to, create a little bit of controversy. A few times he went over the line, he got called out for it. But I found with doing comedy, I kind of looked, I was like, there's political humor. That's a part of comedy, okay? If you're going to be a good comedian, you got to try all parts of comedy. And I found out real quick on the local scene, like if you're going to do political humor, you could lose a real crowd real quick, because no matter who you choose to make fun of in comedy, okay, you're alienating half the crowd because half the people are going to support him and half are going to hate him. So you've automatically alienated half the crowd, okay? Which, these guys are on TV. They have their big audience. Some people love them. Some people hate him. Kind of like the Howard Stern thing, why do people listen to Howard? They tune in to see what he's going to say next. Why do the people who hate him listen? They want to see what he's going to say next. Same thing with Bill Maher. You tune in to hate him or you tune in to love him. Well, on the local scene, you don't have that big of an audience where you can afford to alienate that many people. So I dropped the political jokes really quick. Some people loved them. Other people hated them. I remember the one guy, I did one show and he screamed out. I was doing a routine about George Bush and he's like, why don't you talk about somebody? Boom, flip me off and then stormed out of there. I lost the crowd on that. But I learned a valuable lesson that political humor is a risky thing. So here's a guy, Bill Maher, who took the risks. Other than his shows, he's an animal rights activist. He's on the board for PETA. Number 38 on Comedy Central's list of greatest comics of all time. So if you're talking all time, the Carlins, the Pryors, the Rodney Dangerfields, the Lenny Bruces, the Bob Newharts, this guy's number 38. That's like, if you consider how many great comedians we had, that's putting him right up there. So got his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Not just anybody gets on there. So, recognized for what he did. Let's see, his father was a news editor and radio announcer. So I don't know if it like runs in the family or what, because my father was a freaking bum and I actually tried to do something with myself. So didn't run in my family, but maybe his father being a news editor and radio announcer, that kind of got him into the political thing and wanting to follow in his father's footsteps or something like that. I don't know. But maybe it's in his blood. Who knows? He is an advocate for recreational marijuana, which some states it's legal now. Here in Mass, it's for recreational use. I believe it's somewhat legal. You can have so much. He was once quoted as saying, selling pot allowed me to get through college. and make enough money to start off in comedy. Because if you're starting off in comedy, you ain't making a lot of money, and if you're a college student, you ain't making a lot of money there either. So apparently, him dealing pot was able to do what he loved to do in life rather than work a job that he hated doing. Which I've had a few friends pass away here in the last few months, and you start thinking about life. Am I doing what I love to do? Because your time's running out. So you want to do what you love to do in life. This guy did it. Let's see. 1979, he started out as host at Catch a Rising Star in New York City. By 1982, he was appearing on Johnny Carson and the David Letterman shows. So apparently he was catching some eyes in the big field, which back then you had to go to New York or LA to make it big. It's not like today where you can have a video go viral and become famous. Back then you had to sell everything you own, hop in the car, and go starve in New York and LA while you're doing open mics and not getting paid for it, hoping somebody will see you, give you that one big break, you get noticed, and then boom, you're rich. But a lot of people tuck tail and go home, and a lot of people stick it out. Bill Maher, apparently he stuck it out. 79, 3-4 years, 79 to 82. So from the appearances, once you're a regular on the late night shows, you start to get noticed for TV roles. He had some limited TV roles in 1985, Sarah. 1987 is Max Headroom. 89 to 90, some episodes of Murder, She Wrote. In 1991, one of my personal favorites, Charlie Hoover. Charlie Hoover, you never heard of it? It was a Sam Kinison show. That's why I know about it. But it didn't run long, but I do. He was like the wise guy in there. He always, around the office, he was always the guy with the wise remark. Let's see. That led feature roles. He was in DC Cab in 1983. It was Mr. T. Mr. T was like the biggest thing back then. So Rat Boy in 1986, House 2 in 1987. Here's a name for a movie: Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death in 1988. You ever heard of that one? Not me either. That's a long ass name put on a poster right there. He was in Newhart in 1988. So working with Bob Newhart, one of the greatest comedians of all. Time. Excuse me, I'm a little tired because I've been going to funerals all fucking week here. But let's see. He hosted the Midnight Hour on CBS in 1990, and Pizza Man he did in 1991. So all of a sudden he's becoming a regular, I guess we'd say, on the TV and movie circuit here. But I guess best known for, as we said, Politically Incorrect. He'd do a monologue on political topics of the day. What's the hot political thing going on today? That's how we kick off the show. Then he'd bring on celebrities, and he'd discuss politics with celebrities. Now, as I just said, some celebrities, are up on the political events, and that's a big thing. And some are not as educated, so it's like it turned into a funny thing because you're talking with somebody who's not educated on the subject, but they're a comedian, so they can turn it into funny. So, so some people would be a knowledgeable conversation, some people wouldn't. There was some controversy. He called then President George Bush cowardly after 9/11, because Bush called the 9/11 actors, said they were cowards for doing 9/11. And Bill Maher came out and said, no, George Bush, being a coward is launching missiles from 2,000 miles away to blow people up. That's cowardly, which that's what America does. It's like we want to blow somebody up, we remotely control, send a missile over there and blow them up, okay? Or these guys, they had to commit suicide to blow us up. That's how much it was. So a little bit of controversy right there because you're speaking out against presidents, speaking out against an attack on America. But you have a good point. That's up to you to decide. But let's see. Once he said that, a lot of his sponsors pulled out, and you can be as funny as you want, but your sponsors pay the bill. And once he lost those, he lost some big money right there. I guess as he was getting through with that, they stuck to him. Then he once compared his dogs to some retarded children, and I guess that was the last straw right there. 2002, they canceled the show. Yeah, and that sounds like a mean thing to do. And it's like, if you're a comedian, I say no subjects off limits, because that's the last thing where you can make fun of anything and you can do it because you're only joking. It's not meant to be taken serious. And I've had that argument so many times about some of the comedians I like, and oh, you shouldn't be saying that. It's like, yeah, but he's not saying it seriously. He's only saying it as a joke. If he's saying it seriously, he's a prick. But if you say it as a joke, as it was meant to be, then it's not meant to be taken seriously. So that's the way I look at it. That's the way I think it should be looked at. But not everybody looks at it that way. And this is America. You're entitled to your opinion. Didn't stay time for long. Came back with Real Time. Now here's an hour-long political talk show on HBO, where as opposed to his previous show where he brought on informed guests this time. Okay, every guest he had on was somebody from the political arena. It wasn't like a comedian who was uninformed on the subject. Everybody had on was somebody in the political arena who was very informed. So it turned in this, instead of funny conversations, it then turned into some intelligent conversations. As opposed to what he was having with the comics, it turned into a more serious note. It was notable for controversy again. Had a long run. Off of that success he had on that show, as I said, it was more where it wasn't Comedy Central and stuff like this. Now it's he was a freaking commentator filled on CNN, CNBC, Fox News, the HLN network. So now he's getting more into the political shows as opposed to the comedy shows. So now he's in with a whole different audience, which I'm sure he kept some of his comedy audience, and now he's appealing to more lawyers and doctors and serious people who wake up in the morning and drink their coffee. People who want to run for office is watching this guy. He was known for working with people like Wolf Blitzer, Chris Matthews, Rachel Maddow, Keith Olbermann. He hosted Larry King's final show that he was guest on many times. So, I mean, these are the biggest names in, politics. Okay. So leaving the comedy world behind for the political world, risky move, paid off for him, man. He was on for years and years and years and paid the bills, and it was what he loved to do. And I guess he can always keep it lighthearted because he can always go back to being the comedian, or he could be serious because he was educated on the subject. So, are you white collar? Are you blue collar? He had his audience where, if you were blue collar, you'd tune them in to get a laugh. And if you're white collar, you'd tune them in to get informed. So either way, I guess he got what you were coming for. And that's why he had such a big audience going on right there. Let's see. Appeared in Hollywood Hell House, which was a show about religious, and another show called Religious. So again, you topple topics like religion. That's very controversial. Remember when I took a comedy class, they said, the three things you don't want to touch in comedy are race, religion, and disease. Those are the things that get you booed off stage, unless you're them. If I'm white, obviously I can make fun of white people because I'm white. I can't make fun of black people because I'm not black. But if you're black, you can make fun of black because you're making fun of yourself, who you are. Race, religion, disease. I can't make fun of cancer unless if I have cancer and I'm battling cancer, I can tell cancer jokes all day long. If I don't have cancer, then I come off looking like a freaking jerk. And religion, that one, man, that'll get you booed off stage real quick because 99% of the world is religious in some way or form, and it's one of the things taken more seriously that you don't really joke about. So where you can easily offend somebody. So those are the big three. And this guy, he pushed the line making fun of subjects you couldn't. And some of the masters did it. George Carlin, he tackled all three. He did it in a way where he didn't offend anybody. But I mean, you really got to be a master of the art to be able to pick on those subjects and have it pull off where everybody's going to like it and not, come after you and boo you. With all his really, political stuff, he was named executive producer of HBO's news magazine called Vice. So this is a magazine HBO's putting out, executive producer, which means he's got final say on whatever goes in the magazine. And, I'm not a big magazine, but I guess I was. I mean, nowadays, with the computer day and age, I guess that had to hurt magazines because you can just Google and read the article. But, whenever I'm getting the groceries, I do. I look at who's on the cover of the magazines or something. So there's still magazines out there, the magazine rack and stuff like that. So I'm sure he still has his audience that he's portraying to. But Political humor. I mean, if you're gonna do it, Dennis Miller, he's a big another political humorist, and it takes a special art, and you have to be a wordsmith. I guess we've used that before, where you're saying it in a way where you're not offending anybody. Which me, I do more blue collar jokes where I kind of push the buttons where I do offend you. Which, how far do you take offending somebody? Well, it's whether you got a sense of humor or not. But and yeah, he lost his job the first time around. So even the big stars, they even got their limits too, man. Okay, sometimes you can go too far, but if you have that big of a fan base, they can be forgiving. And it's when you think you're right when you come out. I know Anthony Jeselnik. He says some like dark. He's in a dark humor, but that's what he's known for. His audience expects it, and he does a lot of jokes. And when he gets called out on, he's like, "Yeah, I said it." He doesn't try to back down from it, or he doesn't try to defend it. He's like, "Yeah, I said it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't." And his audience accepts him, and I'm sure a lot of people get offended by him. Well, just don't watch him. Turn off the channel. Where other people, if you got offended by it, they'd go running, they'd cower away. Oh, I'm going to lose my sponsor. I'm going to lose my audience, or whatever. So know your audience, know what they want. And Doug Stanhope said that too. He said, I mean, he's a national drawer. Everybody knows Doug Stanhope. He can fill a room, okay, but he could have went bigger, okay, but he chose to. If he went bigger, he would have had to sell out. He's like, I worked hard to have a fan base that'll accept me for what I do. He does blue comedy. His fan base loves it. Where if he went higher, if you wanted more people, you had to do some clean, and it wasn't who he was. So and on the local level, they say if you work clean, you always work. And if you work dirty, you have a hell of a lot of fun, okay? Because that's what we all grew up listening to, but it's not always the payday. You want to do the corporate shows, you want to do where the big money is, you got to work clean. And one of the big things they say in comedy, it's a lot easier to make a clean joke dirty than it is to make a dirty joke clean. So if you write clean jokes, you can always dirty them up, but you can't always clean up a dirty joke. So, you know, and I know myself, I tell a few dirty jokes. It's what I enjoy. It's why I get into comedy. I'm a big Sam Kinison fan, and I know I'd work more if I work clean, and I'd be doing something I don't love to do. So I don't sell out, where I could work more if I did. It's like I go out and I think, I never let anybody tell me, oh, that was dirty, it's not funny. The crowd decides if it's funny. If the crowd's laughing, that's what's funny, okay? Don't let anybody else tell you what's funny or not. Goes back to what the old Eddie Murphy joke there when Richard Pryor called him and Bill Cosby chastised him, you got to be clean. He's like, well, do the people laugh when you tell your jokes? Yeah, they laugh. Do you get paid when you tell jokes? Yeah, I get paid. Well, then you tell Bill I have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. So that's what I say to anybody who wants to tell me, oh, you're not funny. Well, you don't decide who's funny. The audience decides who's funny. It's funny. Bill Maher, he's doing some political humor. And, I've never known the guy to really pick favorites or anything like that. He's pretty much, he'll tackle whatever the hot subject of the day is. And, he'll make fun of it. And master of the art, man, almost 30 years or so doing political humor. Can you pull it off? Like I said, I mean, if that's what you want to be known for, and I'm sure he went through a lot of hard times to get where he was, but on TV, you gain your audience, it's easier. Where in the local scene, it's not so much easy. So probably a longer road, but what are you going to stick to? Some of these presidents are so funny, you got to make fun of them. I'm independent. I don't pick a side. I just who I like, who do I like. I don't care what party they're with, and that's who I go with. So George Bush, I did some jokes about him. I ain't gonna lie to you. Donald Trump, he's an easy target, man. He ran his mouth so much, you could separate, what he did as a president from from his mouth. I think his mouth got him in the end. But Joe Biden, he's an easy target too. You can tell a lot of jokes about him. So just look at Saturday Night Live, political humor, it's such a big thing. And, but you really have to make it a specialty. You have to make it an art. And I guess if you're in the big city and you're looking to do TV, then you stick with that. But if you're looking to do it on the local scene, you alienate half of your audience. It can be a very tough thing to do. So hats off to guys like Bill Maher and Dennis Miller who can do it. Stephen Colbert, guys like that. They get the big audience. Political humor, man. There's a lot of people into politics, so if you can pull it off, you have to do it in an artistic way, and you can certainly gain a lot of audience you wouldn't have otherwise. This is Funny Like a Clown podcast. Who you voting for next time? Or are you going to grab a beer like me? I'm going for the beer personally, but you do what you want to do. Tune us in next time. Let's see. We're going to start having some live guests on soon again. But yeah, I want to do some of these reviews because we're exploring the history of comedy, and I've had on a lot of comics from the Ding Ho Boston comedy area. Next, I'm hoping to have a lot of comics on from the Texas Comedy Workshop, the Outlaws of Comedy, some of the original Outlaws I want to hope to get on. And man, just hearing the information they have about comedy in their head, that would be just some good stuff. So stay tuned for that. And formerly on my show, The Comedy Kitchen, I did a TV show. Check that out on YouTube if you get a chance. The Comedy Kitchen. I had on some major guests from obviously the Comedy Store. That's the big the godfather of comedy venues, and Jimmy Walker I had on, Jackie the Joke Man I had on, Tom Cotter, Steve Sweeney, Lenny Clark, Stuttering John Melendez. So had some big names on there too. So check it out. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors we're here now. Funny Like Clown podcast. Till next time, keep laughing. Tell somebody a political joke. You'll either piss them off or get them laughing. But hey, either way, it's going to be funny if you ask me. Good night, folks.